はじめまして。私はGhislainです。東京に住んでいる。ワークアウト頑張りましょう。
We're in Tokyo today interviewing Ghislain, who is a young French entrepreneur. Can you start by telling us how long have you been in Asia for?
5 years now. I was in Taiwan first 6 months, then Korea 6 months, and then after I went to Japan, and now it's been like 4 years and a half from here.
How did your journey in Asia begin?
Because of my exchange students, I went first in Taiwan, then after I found an internship in Korea, then I went to Japan and I found a job here.
What's life like as a Frenchman in Japan?
To be French or foreigner in Japan, it's quite cool because in Japan there is a lot of social pressure between Japanese people. But as a French dude, there is this culture of like, oh, you are foreigner, it's fine. When we are foreigner in Japan, we have this advantage that actually we can do things that Japanese people will actually not accept from others. So I am more free and I am in a country which is really peaceful, really safe and clean.
You know, in the West, there is sometimes that stereotype that Korea and Japan are very fast-paced, stressful. Is that what you feel like here?
I don't think that Japan and Korea are similar. I will explain why. Korea, it's a little bit like China. Like they want to do everything fast. The technology has to be fast. The brand has to be fast. Like the fashion is like 6 months and then you change fashion. In Japan, everything is really slow. Japanese people are not some people who wants to change things. They are really traditional people. They really don't want to change. Like I see it in my work. Like there's no one who wants to take responsibility of change. Japan is more slow in this way.
What about the stress? Do you feel any stress?
Stress, maybe both. Yeah, people will work until 2 a.m. sometimes, come back to office at 8. My office, we have this table to know who left the office, at the last time because they have to kind of take it.
Okay.
And sometimes you see crazy around one hour and a half, like 2 hours, and you are like, what did this bro do? Like, why he stayed that long,
Do you think it's the people who put that pressure on themselves?
I do think it's kind of like people against people. It's like really this social pressure that you... It's like if, for example, your manager is here, most of people, they will wait that their manager leave to leave.
I think you've really clearly identified a huge difference between the European working culture and the Asian working culture. Could you tell us more about maybe some of the similarities and the biggest differences?
It's a complicated one, this one. For the similarity, I don't see that much. It's really slow. Meetings are long. Like sometimes there is like 2 or 3 meetings to resolve the same thing. In France, we don't want this. We want fast reports. We want just to see global things.
For me, the similarity I find with French and Japanese, they really like high quality food and products.
About like quality, like they dress really well, right? This is one thing that in France we tend to lose, I think. Of course, there's people who dress well, but Japan, everyone dress well.
There's a kind of stereotype with British people that we like big portions, but maybe the quality is not going to be as high as, the canard confit and, what they haut de gamme, gastronomie française, whatever. In France and Japan, I noticed the portions are smaller than in the UK.
That's why when we go to Izakaya, we order 30 things.
Yeah, Izakaya is not a place where you want to eat. Izakaya is more like for drinking. Like it's after restaurant, they go to Izakaya, then they drink a lot. And then they will eat, yeah.
The funny thing is we don't drink.
Wow. We have 2 French people who don't drink on the podcast. That's kind of a miracle. So,
hey, you don't drink either.
I don't.
I don't drink either. Okay.
It's been actually 2 years that I don't drink.
Guys, if you're getting any value from this, we would really appreciate if you could subscribe and hit the like button.
And since you mentioned alcohol, at some point you decided to stop drinking.
Yes.
Did this change your social life here in Japan?
Yeah, a lot. In Japan, you have to go somewhere or do something to meet people. Going meet someone in a park or at night, they literally don't. They find it even lame. Actually, I told with some people, it was like, why you want to meet me outside? Like, are you a lame guy? Like, you don't have money, you don't want to go to a restaurant with me? They like to do something, and I was telling them, for me, I don't mind. My most important thing is to enjoy the time with the people I like.
In Korea, I experienced the same as well. I've been to Korea 3 times. First time holiday, second time as kind of an exchange student. At the time I was drinking, so I experienced the drinking culture there. And I feel like the third time when I came back and I was not drinking, things were completely different.
The togetherness of the Asian culture when they drink is really nice. I like the fact that you can sit down, share food and bond with people. However, like you, I also quit alcohol a few years ago because while it was nice to bond with people, it was really unhealthy. And I do find that a lot of people here are health conscious when it comes to diet. They won't overeat. But alcohol is this like a cognitive dissonance. Why do you think that is?
I think the alcohol helped them to actually tell how they feel. They will go nomihodai, right? I don't know if you know this term, nomihodai. It's like, or no, nomikai. They drink nomihodai, so it means like you can drink unlimited alcohol in a nomikai setup. Nomikai means after work. You know, normally at work, people are kind of shy. When they go to nomikai, they will drink a lot. At this moment, you can actually understand your colleagues because most of the time they don't say anything about their life. The interesting thing is that when you come back to work the next day, sometimes it's like nothing happened last day. Okay, I drink with this guy all night. I sing with him because usually they go karaoke. And then the next day I'm close to him in the office and he's like not even saying hello sometimes. You know, it's like, what's happening?
What are some habits you feel or just aspects of the society that you think are extremely healthy we can all learn from?
Japanese people really care about equity. In France, you know, sometimes you go to a restaurant, for example, you can be friends with the owner, right? And then sometimes you go, I don't know, eat pizza every week to this place, and then one day he will give you a free bottle of cola. In Europe, everywhere, I think it's just normal, right? It's marketing. It's like, okay, this guy is fidelized, so I will be happy to give him a cola because he comes often. In Japan, it almost never happens. If you do something different to someone else, the other customer can actually complain. Like, why is this person has something that I don't have? Why he has like a special services?
Last year, I was in Osaka. I bought a coffee with a friend and there was some change. And I just said, oh, it's okay. I can keep the coins. I think it was like 100 yen, nothing. So small. And she said, no, in Japan, you don't do this. I would be insulted to take that from you. I know in some cultures like America, it's part of the culture. It's kind of like that it's not expected from them. There's a tip like they expect to give you the best service possible without ever expecting a tip.
How many languages do you speak?
Only two, I think.
Only two? That's already very good, you know.
Yeah, French, English. My Japanese is enough to introduce myself, but not to make really big connection with people, I think, who doesn't speak English. But usually most of people in Japan who actually interested to have foreigner friends, they speak English. So it's not really a problem.
For a foreigner who wants to live in Japan, is it necessary to learn Japanese?
I don't think it's necessary, but to be honest, it's a plus. Like if you want to really have a nice connection with Japanese people, it's always good to speak in Japanese because, as I said, they will not really come to you because they respect this privacy. But if you come to them in Japanese, they will be really happy.
When we travel, sometimes we see people who they just assume that everyone speaks English, so they don't even make the effort to, you know, at least even greet the people in their own language. I think that it's very important when you travel anywhere that you learn at least how to greet people and ask for something politely. People appreciate that.
There's the stereotype that Japanese people obviously are shy and don't speak much English. What I find is that a lot of them have a really strong understanding of English and a lot of knowledge about things that you would be so surprised as a Brit. Some people are shy, but I found once I've slowed it down, try and speak in a not very intimidating way. Yesterday, a man approached us when we were together with my family. Jack and Clem were there as well. He was asking about the UK. He asked where we're from. And he knew that that region had famous cliffs that are like well known. That it just was so surprising and so refreshing. Their level of like general knowledge, especially about the UK, is so high. If you try and speak to someone kind of in the same intensity that a European would, hey, nice to meet you, what's going on? Oh, where are you from? That might be a bit too much for them. If you slow it down and just, oh, I'm from the UK, how have you been there? You'll find actually their level of English might be so much higher than you thought, and their cultural awareness of all these things would be high as well. I'm sure maybe as a French person, you've met Japanese people who know a lot about France, right?
Yeah, I did that. I think when you start to travel, you realize that you were not traveling when you were in your country, right? I was not traveling when I was in France, and many Japanese go to France, and then they do way more than me, so they know more places than me, and I'm like, okay, I've never been to there, so I have no idea actually, but it's cool. Thank you to teach me about my country, right? And I realized that when I'm in Japan, it's the same for me. Like I went to so many places in Japan and most people have never been there. It's actually really interesting to talk about your country to someone Japanese who will tell you stuff about your own country, and then you will tell them stuff that actually they don't know about Japan. So I think this is the thing that people do when they travel a lot.
I want to know one of the best moments being a foreigner and a French person in Japan and maybe one of the most challenging and uncomfortable.
Sometimes it can be challenging to go to some countryside and then you want to do some restaurant. Some people are really, they're not really welcome to foreigner. And I got some places where I was kind of sad because you know that this place is good. You see in Google Map it's like 4.8-star restaurant. You really want to try this local restaurant, and there's this old people inside, and there's a line, and you go into the line, and this person literally came out of the restaurant to come to me and did this sign of dame that I love to do, and I was like, this is such a shame, like I was kind of sad. But in the same time, I know that it's everywhere same, right? It's not just in Japan, but in Japan it can be really rude how they say it. This is one of the challenging things, I would say.
That actually happened to me as well. I was with a Japanese friend and we searched a cool place to go to, and they opened the door, they looked at me, and they just closed it again. But I don't take it personally because I wasn't invited here. I'm here as a tourist as well to enjoy the country. What can I expect? But yeah, 99% of the time I'm having incredible moments, but yeah, it does happen sometimes.
There's a huge motorcycle community here. What I really enjoyed is that I went to a driving motorbike class. I wanted to try to speak only in Japanese there, and actually people are really happy about that. Even if you don't, normally you have to pay higher fee to have the teacher to come to you and speak in English. And I think what I really enjoyed is that I was going to a class where everyone was speaking Japanese. So I had to actually speak Japanese. Everyone was so kind with me because they were like, wow, that's cool. A foreigner who is taking his driving license, like same as them. I really enjoyed this moment. It was great. And I think in Japan, there's a huge community of motorbike driver. Sometime I will just ride somewhere, meet them, and then just talk with them all in Japanese, and this is one thing that I really love here.
Ghislain, we're so grateful for today. It's been an amazing conversation, and of course you offer your own personal training services based on nutrition online, but also face-to-face here in Japan. So could you let the viewers know how to get in touch with you?
You can just go on my Instagram, send me a DM, and I can help the people to get in shape, to make their schedule tight, because I know that many people are working hard in Japan and they don't take the time for it, and I will help them to actually create a habit of working out, of having good food, and then to be able to find their goal to be achieved. So it can be either face-to-face or online. Thank you everyone, it was really nice.
Thank you for coming.
ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。